So did you get why they wanted to move when the mom went to Janie's school and she was just disgusted because everything was broken. The books were showing, things that were just so old. Like it said that a person hadn't been to the moon yet. And of course, that was in 1969. So they were looking at really, really old books. Kind of made me curious to see when Margaret Peterson Haddix wrote this book. And it was copyrighted in 2001. So 20 years ago. All right, chapter 3. Sat-Earth-Wait. That was the name of my new school. When Mama woke me up Monday morning, I lay in bed trying out the name. Sat-Earth-Wait. Satterthwaite. I go to Satterwaite Elementary School. I loved it. It rolled off my tongue so elegantly. Not all like Clyde Elementary. Just stuck in my mouth like a clump of peanut butter. But it seemed like I should be different going to a different school. Janie, 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 Mama popped her head back in my doorway. Aren't you up yet? You're going to have to hurry now. Breakfast in 5 minutes. I eased out of bed and stared into the strange closet I still hadn't got used to. I pulled out my favorite t-shirt and my favorite jeans. At least they were familiar. An hour later, Mama was walking me through shiny glass doors that reflected the sun. She turned down a gleaming hallway and pulled me into a huge office, as fancy as the one Mama worked in Jamestown. I'm just making up words here. Worked in downtown. This is my daughter, Janie Sams, she said, pushing me out in front of her. She's a new student. I brought her enrollment forms in last week. Ah, yes. The woman behind the counter smiled at me. Hello, Janie. You'll be in Mrs. Burton's 3rd grade. I'll show you the way. Mama gave me a hug. I guess that meant it was time for her to leave. I whispered in her ear, Mama, I'm scared. I've never been a new student before. Sure you have, Mama whispered back. First day of kindergarten. That's not the same. Everyone was new then, I said. Mama let go. I guess we did look pretty silly standing there clutching each other and whispering. So have you ever been a new student at a brand new school, not just kindergarten? If you have, it can be scary, especially if you're coming in the middle of the year. Exciting, but pretty scary too. You'll do fine, she said, and she gave me that big, confident grin that she had when she joked about being an entrepreneur. I let the woman from the office walk me down a long hall. Clyde Elementary was 3 stories, and I had spent my 1st grade year in the basement. Satterwaite was all one level, but it seemed like a couple of miles from one end of it to the other. The carpet was not 3 inches thick. I think Mama had exaggerated, but it was clean and new, and it cushioned every step I took. Clyde didn't even have carpet, just wood floors gone splintery and concrete floors crumbling under peeling gray paint. Here we are, the woman from the office said brightly. I followed her through a classroom door. Oh, welcome, Janie, a woman said. I'm Mrs. Burton. We're so glad you'll be joining us. 14 or 15 kids stared curiously at me. I stared back. They looked like the kids in department store ads. Perfect teeth, perfect hair, perfect clothes. You can look and see what she's seeing here. I remembered that my favorite t-shirt had a hole right in the front where everyone could see, and it was faded. The flower decal on the front was starting to peel off. My favorite jeans were faded too, and the knees were practically worn clear through. I smiled anyway. Hi, I said. What I wanted to do was go back to Clyde right away and apologize to cross-eyed Chrissy. Was this how she felt when kids stared at her eyes? No wonder she was so mean. Miss Burton was telling me what to do. I made myself listen. Janie, you can sit right over there by Kimberly, the girl with the green bow in her hair, she said. We're just getting ready to start math. Kimberly kind of waved at me, so I'd know who she was. Besides the green bow, she was wearing a green jumper, a green flowered shirt, and green flowered tights. The flowers on her shirt were the same as the flowers on the tights. I had never seen anyone dressed like that before. I sat down at a desk that looked so new I didn't think anyone had ever sat in it. There wasn't a single word carved in ink or even penciled into the smooth, perfect top. Kimberly leaned toward me, her bow bobbing in my face. That's where my best friend used to sit, she said. She moved away last month. Oh, I said. So the desk had been used before. Did Kimberly mean she didn't like me sitting there? Kimberly kept staring at me. I didn't think I looked that weird. Lots of other kids in the class were wearing jeans and t-shirts. It's just that all of theirs looked nicer and newer, like they had just cut the price tags off that morning. Finally, Kimberly gave me a little grin. I have 65 beanie babies, she said. Wow, I said. Do you know what a beanie baby is? They used to be really popular. I don't know about anymore. I wonder if regular stuffed animals counted. Probably not. I tried to remember if Mama had gotten rid of my Happy Meal beanie babies when we moved. None, I said, just in case. Really, Kimberly said, as if she had never met anyone who didn't have any beanie babies before. I decided to pay attention to math. Mrs. Burton was talking about subtraction. That made me feel good. Subtraction at Satterwaith couldn't be any different from subtraction at Clyde. Yes, it could. Mrs. Burton was writing really, really big numbers on the board. Now, can anyone tell me how to subtract 189 from 463? Mrs. Burton said. Kimberly? Kimberly said. I figured she was still thinking about beanie babies. I reminded myself that there was no one to be scared of at this school. I raised my hand. Don't you have to borrow? I asked. I bet that's the name you called it at your other school, Mrs. Barton said, with an encouraging smile. You're right, Janie. I'm glad you know that. But the new name for it is regrouping. Of course, everything had to be new at Satterwaith. When I got home from school, Daddy was lying on the couch of our new apartment. He turned off the TV and eased up into a sitting position. Sick day? I asked. Uh-huh. Should have let your mama carry the dresser in, but I'll live. He shifted positions. So, how was glorious Satterwaith? Okay, I said. Want a snack? He shuffled into the kitchen and brought back an apple for each of us. Daddy believes in healthy food. I took a bite, and the apple made a very satisfying crunch. Daddy, I said when I chewed up the first bite, how'd Mama pick Satterwaith as the school for me? That's where her boss's kids go, Daddy said. She said if it was good enough for Mr. Hodgkin's kids, it might be good enough for you. He grinned real big. Oh, I said. Daddy stopped grinning. Why'd you ask? He asked. Oh, I chewed for a little while and decided I could tell Daddy. I think all the other kids there are a lot richer than me. How can you tell? Daddy asked. They have really nice clothes. This one girl, Kimberly, told me she has 65 beanie babies. And when I was on the bus, I saw some of their houses. They're like mansions. Daddy wrinkled his eyebrows together like he always does when he's worried. None of those kids teased you about being poor, did they? He asked. No, I shook my head. Everybody was nice. Good, Daddy said. He relaxed his eyebrows. Just remember, Janie-o, money's not everything. Lots of other things matter more. I was kind of hoping he'd tell me what those other things were, but he didn't. Chapter 4. The next day, Kimberly was dressed all in pink. She even had pink sneakers. I wore my purple jeans and a purple top, but you could tell that they hadn't come together. I decided I should try to make friends with someone else. At the first recess, I asked a girl named Danielle, if she wanted to play tetherball with me. Sorry, she said, I'm going to do skip it with Brianna. At the lunch recess, I asked Marina if she wanted to jump rope with me. Yuka and me are going to swing, she said. I guess you could come too, but only 2 swings were open. By the third recess, I had it figured out. Danielle and Brianna were best friends. Marina and Yuka were best friends. Courtney and Nicole were best friends. In Mrs. Burton's class, that just left Kimberly. And why would she want to be friends with me? I went to the monkey bars by myself. That's where I was when a boy from my class came over to me. You're Janie, right? He said. Guess what? Your mom works for my dad. She's his secretary. I squinted up at him. The sun was in my eyes. Is your dad Mr. Hodgkins? I asked. Yep, he said. He says, your mom's a good little worker. A good little worker. Those were nice. Those were all nice words, but somehow they sounded bad coming out of his mouth. Back at Clyde, when kids said something bad, they used bad words. Something made me want to hit this kid just for calling my mama little. She wasn't little. She was an entrepreneur. And you can see a picture here. Nobody hit at Satterwhite. My mama works hard, I said instead. Really hard, and I glared to make this kid understand that it didn't make her a good little worker. He backed away. Yeah, he mumbled. Bye. As soon as he was gone, I climbed up and did a little backward flip on the top bar of the monkey bars. I never would have dared to try anything like that back at Clyde. Wow, said a girl below me. It was Kimberly. How did you do that? I looked at Kimberly in her perfect all pink outfit. First, I said, you have to be really, really brave. I was glad that at the end of recess bell rang just then, and I didn't have to say anything else. All right, not going that great. She's still feeling like a loner, I think. All right, two more chapters down.